Hello everyone, let's begin now. I'm going to show you how to do this next assignment. I've got it already started there. I just need you to get it to this point, by putting in the proper widths and things and make everything bold and everything I've shown you how to do here we've done before. So I don't want to repeat all of that, but I'd like you to go into cell C3. We're going to type in this example, we're going to type in a price of $350,000 and the down payment is going to be 200 or it's going to be $75,000, and we're going to do the loan amount by calculation. We're going to come over here with the rate. We're going to do 6.50%. We're going to go ahead and do the percent sign. Actually, we'll go back and do the let's do that again. Sorry, 6.50 and the percent sign here. The years is going to be 30, and then the monthly payment is going to be what we've done before. Now we're going to come back and do that. Before we go any further, let's name the cells. Let's review that. I'm going to name this cell C3. I'm going to name it the same as the label to the left. I'm going to name C4 the same as the label to the left, and so on. So the quickest way to do that is to select all 6 cells. Then we go to Formulas. Then we go to Create from Selection. Make sure left column is checked. We click OK. Let's repeat that doing those on this side. Let's select all these cells. I'm going to name cell F3. I'm going to name it the label to the left, which is rate. We're going to name F4, we're going to name it years. Select all 6, go to Create from Selection, make sure left column is selected, and click OK. So again, now F3 is named rate, as is the label. F5 is named monthly payment, you see, and so on. Now we're going to go into loan amount. It's going to be equal to the price minus, and tap the minus sign on your keyboard, minus the down payment, and we hit enter. And then we're going to come in here and change those to, well, actually, we'll change those dollar formats in a minute. Let's go ahead and do the monthly payment. Let's review the monthly payment. It is equal to negative, minus sign, PMT, left parentheses. You don't have to do caps on that payment. It'll change it for you. Left parentheses, if you remember, the first argument in the payment function, as we said before, is the rate per payment. So that's going to be rate here, /12, since it's a monthly payment. Comma. The second argument is the number of payments, so that's going to be clicking on years times 12, because if I have 12 payments per year times 30 years, it's 360. And the last argument, if you remember, is the loan amount. So we put the loan amount there. Now, we're going to use that format for the monthly payment. We're going to click on that, go to the Home. We're going to click Format Painter, and we're going to paint that down to C3, 4, and 5. So we have the formats we're looking for. Now, at this point, we're going to select all of these cells here, and we're going to put in the borders. I'm going to repeat how to do the borders here. Select them all. Then we're going to go in here, and we're going to go to the border box. We're going to go to More Borders. And if you remember, we're going to click the 5th one down for that thickness. We're going to say we want an outline, and we want all the others sent up the middle. That's a repeat. We click OK. Now we're going to select just the years, beginning balance, and those. We're going to come up here and just do a thick border that's outside. And now our borders look just like what we have in the assignment. The only thing that's missing here is the green. So we're going to select all of this up here. We're going to go into the paint can, and we're going to choose the standard green here. I'm sorry, let's undo that. I meant to do that with the paint can. Sorry. That should be the standard green in the paint can here. There we go. And now we should be good to go. Now, we're going to do what they call an amortization schedule. The amortization schedule will show you at the end of one payment what your ending balance would be based upon the numbers you have up here. We're going to use now what they call the present value. It's going to be called the present value function. It is very similar to the future value function. It is very similar to the payment function. So we're going to use that. And you can see now all 3 applications here by the time this course is over. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the beginning balance. Obviously, the beginning balance for year 1 is going to be equal to the loan amount. So that's a simple one. We're going to make sure that's going to be pretty simple there. But the ending balance is going to be the tricky one. Click on cell D7, it's going to be equal negative PV, that's present value, left parentheses. Now again, the first argument here is the rate per payment. In this case, we're talking about the rate here is cell F3, and that's a monthly payment, so we divide by 12, comma. The second argument is going to be the number of payments left. Now this is different, you see. This is not the number of payments in the loan. If we're in year 1, we're going to have to do a left parentheses here, and it's going to have to be the years minus the year we're in. The year we're in is in V7, so it's minus the years that have elapsed. Right parentheses. We do have to use the right parentheses here because of the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, because then what we have to do is we have to multiply that times 12. Now, so that's the number of payments left. This is a difference. It's not the number of payments here, it's the number of payments remaining in the actual payment. Now we put the third argument. Now there's a little variation of the way I put this in the homework. The way we've done it in the homework is also correct. When you name cells, and if you reference those named cells, they automatically become absolute address. They turn off the relative address. So doing it this way or doing it the way we have it in the homework assignment sheet, either will work. The last is going to be the monthly payment. Not the, like in the payment function, it was the loan amount. But here it's the monthly payment is going to be the last argument. And if you hit enter, you'll see here, I'm sorry, we have to click yes here, because we didn't put the right parentheses on, but generally we'll put that on there for you. But nevertheless, that is what you now owe at the end of 1 year under these circumstances. So that's what the present value function tells you. It says, based upon your monthly rate, your monthly payment, and the number of payments you have, here after 1 year, here is what you owe. After 2 years, here is what you would owe, and so on. You see, as we fill this down, you'll see here in a little bit here, as we fill that down, you'll see that after 2 years, the present value is going to go there, and so on. It's going to go respectively. The problem is we're going to have to make a few changes here on the paid on principal. The paid on principal is going to be equal to the beginning balance minus the ending balance. That's how much you would have paid on principal the first year you have this loan. It's kind of sad after making those large payments of almost $2,000 a month, you'll have only reduced your loan the first year by $3,073.75. The interest paid is going to be the total you've paid during the entire year minus what you paid on principal. So we're going to simply go to equal, and it's going to be 12, since that's how many payments we have, 12 times the monthly payment, which is $1,738.19, okay? That's how much we would have paid in total. But then we subtract how much we would have paid on principal. What's left is what we would have paid in interest. So now we have all the numbers there that we need. Now all we got to do is make all the rest of the numbers come through. Now here's the thing. Would you agree that the beginning balance of year 2 is going to be equal to the ending balance of year 1? So we're going to go over a column and up a row. So cell C8 is going to be equal to D7, and we hit enter. Now we can fill all this down, but be very, very, very careful when you fill them down. We want to do these separate. I'm going to have you fill C8 down by clicking on it and pulling the fill handle. Now please remember, we do not want to bring the format along with us. We want to say fill without formatting, otherwise we mess up our border. Notice that they are zeros. They should be zeros because this cell is reading up here. There's nothing in there yet. So you haven't done anything wrong when you fill that C9 down, because you have you're just or actually C2, I shouldn't say C8, but I mean you're moving the second year down. When you fill it down, there'll be nothing in these cells, so you should get a bunch of zeros. You need to make sure that you fill them separately. Now you come over here and fill these. Don't do them all at once or you will have yourself a mess. Then you come over here and you fill these down, and then you will see when you click on the fill without formatting, but you'll see everything comes into place. And you'll see, therefore, that the ending balance is 0 here, which it should be. Now all we have left to do is to come over here and just simply put in our totals. For example, in cell D37, we're going to type in their subtotal, and we're going to simply come over here and add up all of the cells above. We're going to add up the total interest and the amount paid on principal each year. Then we simply come down here and we type in the down payment. It's going to be equal to, we scroll, well actually we just type in DOWN, and down payment pops up as you saw in a previous video. Then we simply click here, and we're going to hit equal. We're going to add all these up. That plus that plus that. There you go. So now you'll have all three of those numbers in there, and then we're going to put in a label here, down payment, and then down here is going to be total cost, you see. So these are all the formulas you'll have added. The rest of this is nothing more than changing all these to dollar signs. So we're going to select all of these, and when we do that, you'll find that we're not going to do the top row. We're simply going to go up here and do that. We're going to change these to currency, but then we're going to go right back in and take the more number formats as I showed you earlier, and we're going to remove the symbol so there's no symbol, and we click OK. Then we come down here to these and we click currency here, but you see they're going to have the dollar signs there. So now you have done this next assignment. I'm going to show you something you're going to do here for the test. Okay, let's just pretend here for just a minute we're using the same idea here for your exam. Let's suppose we're going to do this now instead of years like we did for the future value in the previous assignment. Let's suppose we're going to do percentage points for interest. So let's do 5.50%. So that should, let me undo that. Let's do that again. I hit the wrong key there. It's 5.50%. Then it's going to be 6.00%. And then let's fill those down a little bit. We're going to select them. We're going to fill them down all the way to 11%. Now, up here, if you remember, we're going to type in equal, and it's going to be the monthly payment. We hit enter. So what I'm doing for you right now is going to be very, very similar to what you'll do on your exam. So then what we're going to do is we're going to select all of those. We're going to go up here to data. Then it's going to be what if analysis and data table. And we're not going to ever use that top box. We come down and we're going to say send all of those percents here. In other words, whatever's the column, the left column is what they assume. They don't tell you that. They assume they know it. We're going to send them into cell F3. And we click OK. And then boom, you see you have all of your interest rates and the different levels. So here's the 1738 and so on for the 6.5%. So what I'm doing now is not in the homework, but is in the exam. So I want to show you how I'm doing that. Let's select that and go back to home, and we're going to change that to a currency. And so now what I've just done for you is very similar to what you'll do on your test for Excel. So please be watching that. Now I'm going to take you to another sheet. We're going to start a whole new topic. We're going to go to another sheet here. I've already got this started for you. Again, I'm not going to repeat the entering of the data because that would be redundant here. A couple of things I want to show you just to remind you, we have what they call the autofill. Let me delete those three right there. When you type stuff in there, if you click right here, for example, in B13, we're setting up a thing now for student scores. And we're going to show you how to do some more functions that will be useful. Okay, so for example, if I want to sit here and type the word theater, if theater is text that's already typed up above, all I got to do is hit the T key and it puts it there. Or if I want to hit here the C key, if computer is already up above there, computer science, just hitting C will put it there. You can also right-click on that cell and click where it says pick from drop-down list, and it'll give you a list of the text up above. So I could click on computer science that way, you see. So that's what they call the pick from list. It's just a little time saver there. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to hit the B here, the B here, the B here to show you now how it works in those. Now let's go ahead and select these cells right here. Not the cells, but the columns. Column A, B, C, D. And we're going to double-click between the A and the B. When you do that, that does the best fit. And if you remember, that will make things fit perfectly. It'll take every column you've selected, and it'll resize them perfectly there. Now, we don't want to do that. Let's not remove that. Let's just kick that back just a little bit here for the column A, but all the rest of them do it automatic, and it's very helpful. What I want you to do now is to come over here and type in cell I1. We're going to type the word grades, and hit enter. And then we're going to select that and go across there and make that bold and merge and center. In cell I2, we're going to type a 0. And then in I3, we're going to type in there a 60. Not a 60%, but a 60. Then we're going to do a 70. And then an 80. And then a 90, you see. And then we're going to type over here in J2. Let me blow this up a little bit so you can see better what I'm doing. When that doesn't mess us up here. But then we're going to go over to J2. We're going to type in there F. Obviously, you get a 0, you get an F, or not up to 60. Then D is what you get if a 60 or above. A 70 or above is a C. An 80 or above is a B. A 90 above is an A. Now, this is something you'll find very useful. This is what we're going to call the VLOOKUP. So if you have different values that should associate with different numbers over here, you will find that it's extremely valuable here. I mean, I oftentimes have 300 students per semester, and I don't want to go down the line and say, okay, that's an A, that's an A, that's a C. I don't want to play that game. I want the computer to do the work for me. So now we're going to create what we call the VLOOKUP. Now, VLOOKUP is the same as the HLOOKUP, except the HLOOKUP is horizontal, the VLOOKUP is vertical. And more common than not, we do a vertical lookup. So what we're going to do here is we're going to tell it to look up these numbers. That's the first thing we're going to do. And then we're going to say, look them up over here. When you get here, go to a specific column. This will make sense as we go here a little bit. So we're going to go here to cell D3, and it's going to be equal VLOOKUP. Obviously, those are all one word, and then left parentheses, no spaces there. And then you click C3. So the first argument in the VLOOKUP is saying, what are you going to look up? Well, we're looking up whatever is in C3. Comma. Remember, all arguments are separated by a comma. The second argument is telling it where to look it up. We're going to look that up over here. So we click and drag I2 through J6. We're saying go look it up over there. Now, we got to apply, since we're going to fill this down, we have to hit the F4 key and apply the absolute address. Now, I could have just as easily selected all of that and named it grades up in here, and it would have done the same thing. Remember, that will also give you absolute address. On the exam or on the homework, just do whichever they tell you. The third argument is going to tell you where to go once you find the value you're looking for. Well, right here with the 0, 60, 70, 80, 90, that's column 1, and the grades are in column 2. Well, we want it to tell us the grade. Therefore, the last argument is going to put a 2 because we want it to go to column 2. So you'll notice here that the 100 gave us an A. Now, I want you to fill that down, and let's study this a little bit. Let's take a real hard look at this and see what they're doing here. See, the C is here because it comes over, it finds the 70, and it finds a C. There's the 80, it found the 80, and it gave us a B. It did exactly what we're looking for. What's confusing to people is they say, wait a minute, there is no 95 over there. Well, that's true. But the way to figure out what it's doing here, believe it or not, is you have to remember how to win at Price is Right. That's the only way I can explain this. The only reason that the 90 is showing the A is because 95 is the closest to 90 without going over. Let's look at another one here. Let's look at the 85, or let's look at, let's try 88, for example. Why is 88 giving us a B? 88 is closer to 90. That's true, but 90 is over. So you see, that's why it's giving us a B here, because 88 is closer to 80 without going over. You see what I'm saying? 90 is over. That's why it will not give you an A with an 88. It will give you the 80. So why is 88 being shown as a B here? Because 80 is the closest to 88 without going over. So that is how you use the VLOOKUP. It's extremely valuable. You can imagine how quickly that was. If I could pull that down and have all my grades for all my students that quickly, it saves hours of work. Now what I want to do is show you some more functions. We're going to widen column F here. Let's click on column F. We're going to widen it pretty far over here because we're going to put in here a few little items. One of them is going to say business majors. Now the business majors we're going to put in row 7. We're going to put it in cell F7. We're going to type the words business. Let me do that better here. Oopsie. Business majors. And we're going to hit enter. We're going to put below that business majors, and then click to the right of business majors, put an apostrophe, and type in there average, and hit enter. And then we're going to put in there computer science majors, average. And I want to show you how we're getting those. Now, this works in a couple of things. There are new functions here. Now, you can do the rest. Then we're going to come down. We're going to put A, apostrophe S, B, apostrophe, like how many B's do we get? How many A's do we get? And so on. Now, let's select those, and let's align them to the right. And you can do the rest of those on your own there. But let's count the business majors. Here's how we count the business majors without having to play a bunch of games here. Step 1, we click in cell G7, and it's equal count if, left parentheses. So count if, and then step 2, you select the range where you're wanting them to count. So we're saying count if anything from B3 colon B15, comma, see the second argument, and you put in the criteria. So you're going to put in there the quotation mark, computer science. Now it's got to be exact, gang. If you type a and then quotate, don't forget to put quotation marks. Whenever you reference text in a function, you have to put quotation marks around it. So you see it's saying here, the first argument is saying where to go hunting. The second is what's the criteria. If you spell computer science different in any one of those, or even put a space after it, it won't work. So now when you hit enter, you see it's going to give us a 2 here. Now I screwed that up because I was looking for business majors. So let's click on that. We're going to drag that down to, I messed up there. That should have been business major. Let's try that again. Let's double click on that. Let's change computer science. We're going to change that to business. Sorry about that. Hit enter. Now you see we should have 7. There you go. So now we have counted the business majors. There are 7 of them. Let's do the same thing with the number of A's. Let's click on here and find out how many people got A's in this class. So it's going to be equal to count if, left parentheses, and we're going to click and drag D3 through D15, you see, comma, we got to put quotation mark. It's not case sensitive. You can even put a lowercase a. As long as you get an A in there, hit enter. You see now we have 7 A's. Now, how about the B's? Well, we can go down here. Remember I showed you in another exercise, if I'm right here, I can do control and then hit the quotation mark. Control quotation mark, which is like control ditto. It'll put there exactly what is in the cell above. But now all I got to do is to change the A to a B. And now I've got the number of B's. And you'll see that there are 3 B's that are in this class. Now the things we haven't done yet is the business majors average. Let's do that next. The business majors average is going to be very similar to the count if. The only difference here is we're going to go hunting through there and find the business majors. It's very similar to count if. Let's just do the control ditto here and do a count if, but we're going to change the word count, going to change it to average. It's going to be average if. Average if the person is a business major. It's the same thing, only the only thing different here is obviously we changed the word count to average as we did here. But the other thing we do different is we put a comma here. We add a third argument. The third argument is going to tell it what to average. Well, obviously, we're going to average the grades. So we click and drag and make the third argument, which is the range of the grades. And that's why you get 91.85. Let's do that again. Only this time, let's do the control ditto. It's going to be average if. Here we're going to type computer science. This time I won't screw it up. It's going to be quotation mark, computer science. You see, quotation mark, and now we should get the average of, well, I goofed there because I misspelled the computer science. I'm sorry. Actually, I did that on purpose to show you what can happen. No, I didn't. I lied. Okay, I forgot the P in computer science. Now we got it. We've got an 86 is the average there. So that tells you how to get that far in assignment 6. But now we're going to do a few other goodies here with this. Okay, so next, let's go ahead now and rename the sheet. We're going to double click. We've done this before. Let's just do it again. Double click sheet 2. We're going to name it average by major. But remember this, just a little heads up here. Just so you understand here, we could do the same thing with sum if. Sum if is the same as average if, only instead of the word average, you have sum. And that's what you'll be doing on your exam. But it's the same concept. You're saying you give the range of where you want the criteria, and then you type in the criteria, and then the last argument is the area you want to sum. In this case, we're averaging. Don't forget, you can also right-click on a tab, and you can change the tab color to anything you want, just as a reminder. But now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this sheet. The way to copy the sheet, step 1, press and hold the sheet tab, click and hold it, and press and hold the control key while you do it. Not the shift or the alt, it's got to be the control key. And you'll notice a little plus sign is showing up on a piece of paper stuck to the arrow. Click and drag the sheet to the right. Do not let go of control until after letting go of the mouse. Let go of the mouse first and you'll see it has copied the sheet. Now we can name that. We're going to call this subtotals. We're going to double click that. And again, yeah. Let's just call it sub. I'm not sure. I think we're doing the filters here. Let's do a filter here. To do the filter, step 1. We'll come back to the subtotals. Okay, so double click down here and name this filter. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to make a filter. How do we make a filter? Step 1. Click in the top of something that has an array type appearance. Okay. In this case, this looks like an array or a table, kind of the same thing. So you click in the top left of it. Step 2, you go to data. And then step 3, you click filter. Notice these little boxes that show up. Now this way I can start doing filters. For example, I can say show me all of the business majors. Let's do that first. Let's go into major and say turn off the select all. Just say no, turn on the business major. Make sure business is the only one that's checked. Then you click OK. Then you can say show me only the business majors who have an A. Then come over here to grade and just turn off the select all and just check A, B, C. Or you can just come back here and turn off the B and the C, same thing. Then you click OK. But now we could say in here, give me anything over a 95. So we click in this one here, you see, but don't turn off the check marks. I will watch for that. Don't try to fool me on test day. You're going to go into number filters and you're going to say greater than or equal to, you see, and you're going to put over here, you're going to put in a 95, you see, and you click OK. So these are ways of really narrowing down all of your stuff. Now, what I've done on the homework is a little different. Just do whatever the homework tells you, but now that will tell you how to do what I just showed you. Now, to get rid of the filters, you simply click clear, or you can click on the filter here. Now, let's return to the average by major worksheet here. Just a few more minutes and we'll have all the remaining homework done with exception to one. We may have to make another video of the last one here depending on how long. I'm trying to keep these videos within about 48-50 minutes here. And I know we're starting to push the envelope here. So I want to show you a couple more things here to prepare you. We might get through all the homework on this one. Anyway, at this point what I want you to do now is we're going to get subtotals. In other words, we're going to say what's the average for the business, the computer science, and whatnot. We're going to do subtotals. Now, please remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you do any kind, if you go home here, and if you make any one of these a format as a table, if you ever do that, you've got to convert it to a range, like we showed you in the first video. So you cannot do subtotals if this is one of those table formats. Anyway, so just in case you're doing that on test day or whatever, make sure you remember that. Now, let's go ahead and do subtotals. The first step in subtotals, and don't miss any of these steps, gang. If you miss one of them, you're up the creek. Step 1, you have to sort by what you want the subtotals of. In other words, if we want subtotals or sub-averages in this case, by business and then computer science and all of that, then we have to sort them by that. Here is how you sort them. Step 1, you click inside the array again. Step 2, you click data. And step 3, you click sort. Now in this case, we want to sort by the major. Now we could also say, while we're at it, let's make the highest grades first and the lowest second. Well, then we can add a level and say, while we're at it, let's go ahead and sort by the score and make them the largest to smallest. So, because you'll be asked to do that on test day as well. So click OK. On test day, it's going to be like costs. It's going to be like, here's the person we wrote it to, here's the category, and here's how much we spent. So it's going to be very similar. So you click OK here. Now you'll see we have sorted by business, and we put the highest first. Now, this business of the highest numbers is not as important as this one. If we're going to get averages by major, you've got to first sort by major. Everybody forgets that on test day, and you have a mess when you do subtotals. Now, that's the first part. The second part, again, is to make sure you remain somewhere in this table area or array area. You got to stay in there. Then come over here to subtotal, up here in the upper right here. And when you get it, we're saying we got to make sure we change that to major. If you leave it as student, it's going to give you a total after every student. Well, that's worthless because it's just going to give you your scores for each student. Now, we're saying we don't want you to get an average until there's a change in the major. We don't want to add them. We want to average them. Now, on your test, you're going to leave that at sum. You want to add the categories here, but here we're getting an average. We're getting an average every time there's a change in major. We don't want to average the grade because that's text. You can't average a letter. You can only average numbers, and the scores are the only things that are numbers here. So you click score, and you click OK, and voila, you see that they have done the averaging for us. Now, here is how you can lose a lot of points on your test and your homework. If you just try to do this the easy way, by going in here and clicking and inserting a row and doing the average function and doing it each time, that's points off, folks. I'll look over here. You see all this over here? I can look over. This will all be gone if you try it that way. You got to do it the way I showed you. So, for example, if I click on the 1 here, it'll show me a grand average. I click on the 2 over here, it'll give me the averages by major. And then if I click on the 3, it puts it back the way it was. But if I don't have that capability to do that on your homework or your test, I'll know you tried to do it the other way, and you get no points for that. It's not only going to waste your time, it's no points. The other thing you got to remember is it's important to know how to do a subtotal this way. For example, I've had to get the average sales or the total sales by state, for example, in a spreadsheet I had. Well, you don't want to have to insert 50 rows and then put in the sum function 50 times. That would take forever. The way we did it is much, much faster. Okay, now I'm really loading you down here, but these next assignments don't have a whole lot of lecture here because much of the stuff that's in it we've already done as far as typing in stuff, resizing columns, and all of that. So much of that is redundant. But what we are going to do now, it's another concept where what we do here, we're going to go to another sheet I've created here for you. I've already started it here, so we don't turn this into a typing class here. So we're going to go into this thing here, and you're going to go ahead and put in all the different formats. For example, in this particular case, you're going to click on this, and you're going to drag it over and do a merge and center. I should have probably done that ahead of time. Same with totals here. We're going to do the same with that. And you're going to go ahead and make those the proper fonts and all that. Here, we're doing what they call a template. Whenever you have to do something that you want copied over and over, you would then make this and put in your formulas, and you would save it as a template. Now, here, we're going to do the percent change here, but I got to show you a couple of little things here. First, take a look here. If I want to put a year in as a date, type in the apostrophe and then the date. In this case, it's 2013, and hit the right arrow key. That way, it'll treat it as text. Then if you click on it and drag it to the right, it'll treat it as text and it'll do a series for you. Let's click the center, and let's go ahead and make all of this bold here, whatever the homework asks you to do there. Now, let's go ahead and select these two items here, and we'll do the auto sum. Whenever you do something like this for a template, if it's something you're going to do over and over, I recommend you put in test data. That's what I'm also going to ask you to do on test days. Put in test data so you can test it out. Now, I'm going to widen these. I believe we want these to be I can't remember. I think it's a 15 or let's do 14. Whatever the homework of the test tells you, just do exactly. I'm just going to go to 14 here, some odd. So now we've done the sum function, but now we're going to do the percent change in growth. So type in the word growth, percent. Okay, in other words, did they have growth or not? Well, this is something, if you've taken math, you know how to do this. It's going to be equal to left parentheses. It's going to be the difference between the two. It's going to be C4 minus B4, right parentheses, and then it's going to be dividing by what you started with, which is in B4. So it's going to be very similar to that on test day as well. So you hit enter, and you'll see we have a 100% growth. Now, obviously, we don't. Microsoft changes that to $1. We don't want that dollar, so we're going to click on the little percent here. And by the way, if you don't want these pennies here, you select them and you say decrease the pennies by clicking up here, or you can say increase the pennies of the decimals. Do whatever the homework of the test tells you to do here. Now you can fill this. We want to fill that all the way down to row 8 because we want the total growth as well to be considered there. Okay? So now that's old news. We've done stuff like that before. What we haven't done is what they refer to as the 3D cell reference. We have copied a worksheet. I'm going to ask you to copy the worksheet again. So let's do that now. Let's double click this sheet 3. We're going to name it totals. And then we're going to click and drag the tab to the right while holding the control key down. Don't forget, let go of the mouse first before you let go of control. Let's do it again. Let's click and drag that one across now while holding the control key down. Let go of the mouse first. Do it one more time. We need a total of 3 sheets. 3 copied, total of 4 then. So we're going to click and drag the totals to the right again. It's going to be total 4. So you got totals, totals 2, totals 3, totals 4. You should now have a total of 4 sheets here, you see. We're going to double click totals on this one and we're going to call it your name. I'm going to put Herzog here and hit enter. We're going to double click this sheet here, the totals here. We're going to name it Smith. Okay, Smith. Then totals 4, we're going to name that Jones. Okay, some unique names there. Now, again, from here, we're going to just show you how to do this. Now, you're going to go into Herzog, for example, and you're going to click on Herzog Sales there, and you're going to type in Herzog Sales. For example, Herzog for iPods for 2013 was $278,000. I'm going to type that in there, and so on. But why did I not do that on the first one? Because I just want to make sure that we have those numbers in there strictly for testing, but then we put the real stuff in. Do not type numbers in the totals. You put them in already there, but those are just test numbers. So go into yours and type in your numbers there. Then you're going to go into Jones, or Smith rather, go to Smith and go to cell B4 and start typing in those. Now I'm not going to type them all in for you now. You do that on your own there, of course. I'm going to type in 195,000 here for Jones, and we'll hit enter. We'll do another one there. $500,000, and so on. Just keep typing the numbers in. And when you don't type in anything in the formulas of the sums. Remember, don't type those in because those formulas and functions are already there. Let's go to Jones and type a few in for Jones here. We go to Jones. We're going to type in 230,000 and hit enter. So you see, we've typed the first totals one, but we're going to type right over it, and then we're going to put functions in there that's going to add all those others up. Now, this is what they call the 3D cell reference. In this homework, you have to do a chart too, but we already talked about charts, so I'm not going to go through that again. But we're going to do what they call the 3D cell function. Here's how you do it. First of all, we don't need these test functions here, these test data here. We don't need those for the totals sheet. We only needed them for testing purposes, but we now know that the formulas and functions work. And this is why I do it, because if you don't, then you're going to get a div 0 when you do it, and it's messy. It's good to have numbers in there to see it, but then when you're done, take the numbers out, and now we're going to do the 3D cell reference. Now remember, gang, this is so similar to what you're going to do on your test. The only difference here is it is in this part of your exam that we're going to have you do a VLOOKUP over here. We're going to say maybe if the growth percent is a certain amount, then you get an ABCD. It's going to be very similar to there. But nevertheless, in this particular case, we're going to type in cell B4, the 3D cell reference. You got to do this exactly as I tell you. If you miss a step or if you do it out of order, this will not work. So the first thing you do is you go to the top left. In this case, that would be B4, and you do the auto sum. Now, please remember, the auto sum goes straight up looking for numbers. If it finds nothing, then it goes to the left. If it finds no numbers there, you simply get empty parentheses. So now what you're going to do is you're going to click on the first sheet tab to the right, and you'll notice now that your function up here says equals sum Herzog. Now you press and hold the shift key. Now you click the last tab, which is Jones, and now you see it reads up here Herzog Jones. You don't do anything, and don't leave the sheet. Don't hit enter yet, you're going to get an error. So it's equal sum, you do the sum function, you click on the first sheet, shift, click on the last sheet, and then you click B4 in this right here. Wherever you are, don't leave the sheet. Do not leave the sheet. Do not leave the sheet. I say that 100 times, people still do it. Click on the sheet you're now in, and then you hit enter. You'll notice here it went ahead and added all of those up. So you see it's saying equal sum Herzog : Jones B4. In other words, from Herzog through Jones inclusive. That's basically what we just did with the 3D cell reference. Let me do it again, just to make sure you've got it here. So you click the sum function, step 1. Step 2, you click the first sheet tab to the right, then you press shift. Don't get those out of order. Then you click the last sheet on the right, you click B4 in this sheet you're now in, do not leave the sheet, and you hit enter. And now all you got to do is fill that down. Pull the fill handle down, pull the fill handle over, and you've got all the totals you need there. Now these numbers will change when your homework, when you finish putting in all the rest of the data in these other sheets here. So that is the 3D cell reference. I got to tell you, a lot of people get it wrong. If you click in here and type in here equal, and then you go clicking on each of those sheets individually, I'm going to know. You can't fool me with that. So some people do this. They click equal, then they click Herzog, and then click on that sheet, plus, and then they go to the next sheet. That's going to take you forever, especially if you have 100 sheets you got to do. No, do the 3D cell reference. That is what I'm looking for. If it's anything other than that, there's no points for that. So that should take you up through the next assignment there, which is assignment 7. I have one more assignment for you to do for Excel here, which is assignment 8, and that'll be in the next video.